जंगल के
When my daughter-in-law called me a burden, I didn't argue. I didn't cry. I just smiled, quietly folded my clothes, and left the house that once felt like my entire world. People say words don't break bones, but they do break hearts. And sometimes, they break a home too. That night, as I walked down the narrow street with my small suitcase, I didn't know where I was going. The streetlights flickered, the rain had just stopped, and the air smelled of wet earth. My hands trembled as I clutched the photo of my son, the same boy I had raised alone after his father passed away. All my life, I thought love was enough. I thought if I gave my son kindness, patience, and every piece of my heart, he would always remember who I was to him. But life has a quiet way of teaching us that even the people we love most can forget how to love us back, not out of cruelty, but out of habit, comfort, or someone else's influence. I remember the exact moment she said it. We were in the kitchen. I had just made her favorite lentil soup, the one she liked with extra lemon. She looked at me, tired and annoyed, and whispered, "You're just a burden now." I don't think she meant it to hurt. Maybe it just slipped out. But when someone you consider family says that, it echoes inside you like thunder. In that silence after her words, I heard everything I had lost: the laughter in our mornings, the warmth of my son's hugs, and the feeling of belonging. I wanted to shout, to defend myself, to remind her that I had once carried her husband in my arms when he was too weak to walk. But instead, I smiled, because I knew if I spoke, my voice would break, and I didn't want to give her that satisfaction, so I left, without a word. And that was the beginning of everything. I was 62 when I moved in with my son and his wife, Nina. My health wasn't perfect, a little arthritis, a weak back, but I was still strong enough to cook, clean, and keep the home warm. My son Arjun had insisted I move in. "Ma, this house will always have space for you," he had said. His voice had that same honesty it carried when he was a boy. I believed him. The first few months were lovely. Nina treated me well, polite, smiling, respectful. She would ask me about my old recipes, and sometimes we'd sit together on the balcony, drinking tea as the sun went down. I thought she genuinely cared. I thought, maybe I'm lucky. Many mothers I knew complained about their daughters-in-law, but mine seemed gentle. But slowly, things began to change. It started with small things: her sighs when I entered the kitchen, her silence at the dinner table, her short replies when I tried to talk. I told myself she was just tired, busy, or adjusting. After all, sharing a home isn't always easy. One evening, as I was folding laundry, I overheard a conversation between Arjun and Naina. She said, "We need more privacy, Arjun. It feels like we're never alone." He replied softly, "Ma's just here for a while. She has nowhere else to go." Those words, "she has nowhere else to go," stung. Not because they were cruel, but because they were true. After that day, I started keeping to myself. I spent more time in my room, reading old letters or tending to the small plants I kept by the window. The walls began to feel heavier, the air quieter. I could sense the shift, like the warmth of a candle slowly fading into smoke. I never told Arjun how I felt. He had always been a good son, gentle, thoughtful, and caring. But marriage changes things. It should, of course. A man must build his own family. I just didn't expect that in the process, I would become invisible. Sometimes I would catch Nina staring at me when I walked by. Her expression, unreadable, not angry, not sad, just distant, like she was trying to figure out where I fit in her life. Then came the first real argument. It was a Sunday morning, quiet, cloudy, and slow. The kind of morning when you just want to stay in bed and listen to the rain. I had woken up early, as I always did, to prepare breakfast. Arjun loved parathas with butter, and Naina liked toast and green tea. It made me happy to start their day with something warm. As I was cooking, I heard footsteps behind me. It was Naina. Her tone that morning was sharp, not angry, just cold. "Ma, you don't need to make breakfast every day," she said, pulling out her cup. I smiled. "I don't mind, Beta, I like doing it." She didn't smile back. "Still, it's not necessary. We have routines. You can rest." Her words weren't harsh, but the distance in them was new. There was no warmth, no softness, just formality, like she was speaking to a guest she didn't invite. I nodded quietly and continued flipping the paratha. That day, Arjun didn't notice anything. He chatted cheerfully about work, about a new project, about how proud he was of Nina's promotion. I smiled too, pretending nothing had changed. But something inside me had shifted just a little. Days turned into weeks. I began noticing more small changes, the kind you can explain to others but feel deeply when you're reliving through them. The kitchen shelves suddenly rearranged. My old spice jars replaced with new ones. My sari hanging space moved to a smaller corner in the wardrobe. One afternoon, I found my framed photo of Arjun as a child, missing from the living room shelf. When I asked Naina about it, she said casually, "Oh, I just thought we could put our wedding photo there. It's more current." I smiled again, said, "Of course," and walked back to my room. But as I sat on my bed, the tears came quietly. It wasn't about a photo. It was about being gently erased, one corner, one shelf, one moment at a time. A few nights later, I heard them arguing. The house was dim, the TV humming faintly in the background. I didn't want to listen, but the walls were thin. Naina said, "She's always here, Arjun. I feel like I'm living in her house, not ours." He replied softly, "She's my mother, Naina. Where will she go?" "I know she's your mother," she said, her voice breaking a little. "But I want a home that feels like us, not like a shadow of your past." There was silence after that, long and painful. And then, Arjun said, "Please, don't talk like that." I sat in my bed, hands shaking, eyes fixed on the dark ceiling. I never wanted to be a burden. I never wanted my presence to feel heavy. I had moved in because my son insisted, because he said, "Ma, you'll never be alone again." But now, I understood that sometimes love changes form. It doesn't disappear. It just moves further away, until you can barely feel it anymore. The next morning, Arjun acted as if nothing had happened. He smiled, kissed my forehead before leaving for work. Naina didn't say much. She poured her tea, scrolled through her phone, and left her plate half finished. I went to my room and sat by the window. Outside, children were playing, their laughter carried through the air. I thought about the days when Arjun was their age, when we lived in a small one-room house. He never complained, not once. Even when I worked long hours at the school canteen, he would wait for me, reheating dinner by himself. He used to say, "One day, Ma, I'll buy you a big house where you'll never have to work again." And he did. But what I didn't know then was that love doesn't always survive comfort. Weeks passed like quiet rain. I stopped cooking, stopped trying to be part of their daily rhythm. I told myself it was better this way, less friction, less tension. Then one evening, Arjun came to my room. "Ma," he said softly, sitting beside me, "Naina feels. She feels you might be unhappy here. Maybe you'd be more comfortable in your hometown for a while. Just until things settle." His words were gentle, but they pierced through me. I looked at him, my son, my life's purpose, and for a moment, I couldn't speak. I wanted to say, "I am not unhappy here, beta. I am lonely," but I didn't. I just nodded. "If that's what makes you both comfortable, I'll go." He looked surprised, maybe even guilty. "No, Ma, it's not like that. I interrupted softly. "It's okay, Arjun, I understand." He held my hand, like he used to as a little boy, and whispered, "I love you, Ma." And I smiled, "I know you do." That night, I packed my small bag, just in case. I folded to saris my medicines, and that old framed photo of him as a child that I had quietly taken back from the drawer. Something in my heart told me this piece wouldn't last, and I was right. A few days later, Naina came home from work early. She looked tired, her eyes heavy, her shoulders tense. I was in the kitchen making tea. She walked in and said, "You really shouldn't be doing this, Ma. You'll hurt your back." I smiled faintly. "Don't worry, I'm fine." She sighed. "That's not the point. You do too much. We can manage." I turned off the stove and looked at her. "I'm just trying to help." "Help," she said, her tone sharper now. "Sometimes your help feels like interference." The room went still. The boiling water hissed quietly in the pot. I didn't respond. I didn't trust my voice not to tremble. She exhaled loudly. "I'm sorry, Ma, but you've become a burden. I can't do this anymore." Her words fell like stones. For a second, everything around me disappeared. The sound of the clock, the smell of tea, even the weight of the cup in my hand. Just silence. A silence so deep it felt like time had stopped. I looked at her face. She wasn't cruel, just exhausted. Maybe she didn't even realize what she was saying. Maybe she did. But in that moment, I understood something clearly. When love turns into tolerance, it's time to go. So I smiled. a small, trembling smile. "I understand," I said. And that evening, while they were both out, I left. The sky was gray. The air was cool. I walked down the street with my small suitcase, the same one I had packed days ago. Every step felt heavier than the last. I didn't have a plan or a destination, just the quiet voice inside me saying, "Go." I passed the old park where Arjun used to play as a boy. I stood there for a minute, watching children run across the grass, their laughter echoing against the wind. I remembered his tiny hands, his laughter, the way he'd shout, "Ma, look at me." From the swing, a tear rolled down my cheek, but I didn't wipe it, because for the first time in years, I wasn't pretending to be strong. That night, I reached the small train station. I sat on the cold bench, holding my bag close. The night was quiet, except for the sound of trains passing in the distance. I didn't call Arjun. I didn't leave a note. I just disappeared, hoping that maybe one day he'd understand why. Soft piano fades in, sound of distant rain. Scene ends on the mother sitting alone at the station, her face lit by a flickering lamppost. The platform was nearly empty that night. The station lights flickered softly, painting long shadows on the floor. A cool wind moved through the air, brushing against my face like a memory. I sat quietly, my small bag beside me. My hands trembled, not from fear, but from the kind of loneliness that sinks into your bones. The train to my hometown arrived around midnight. I hesitated for a moment before stepping in. It had been years since I last visited that place, the small town where Arjun was born, where his father and I had built a life from nothing. As the train began to move, I looked out the window. City lights blurred into darkness. I could see my reflection in the glass, an old woman with tired eyes and a gentle smile. Someone who had given her life to love, and now had to learn how to live without it. The journey was long. At every stop, vendors shouted, children laughed, people boarded and left, life moving on as if the world hadn't noticed one heart quietly breaking among them. I reached the town at dawn. The sky was a pale blue, and the morning air carried the smell of wet soil and jasmine. I took a small auto to the neighborhood where our old house once stood. It wasn't there anymore, replaced by a tall, pale building, the place where Arjun took his first steps, where his father used to sit on the veranda reading the newspaper. Gone. For a moment, I just stood there, clutching my bag, feeling like a stranger in my own past. There was a small temple nearby, and beside it, a home for elderly women run by a kind lady named Sister Mary. I had met her once many years ago, when we donated blankets after the floods. I didn't know if she would remember me. I walked to the gate and called out softly, "Sister." She turned older now, her hair grayer, but her eyes the same warm brown. "Do I know you?" she asked. "It's me, Shanti," I said, "from the school canteen. We met once." Her eyes softened. "Ah, yes, come in, please. You look tired." That night, Sister Mary gave me a small room, simple, clean, and quiet. A single bed, a wooden chair, and a window that looked out at the mango tree. For the first time in months, I slept peacefully. The days that followed were strangely calm. I helped in the kitchen, folding clothes, serving tea to the other women. Some of them had stories much like mine, forgotten by children, lost in time. We laughed together, cried together, and in that quiet space, I found something I hadn't felt in years: peace. One woman named Kamla became my closest friend. She was 70, with silver hair and a kind smile. She used to say, "We mothers give everything, and when our hands are empty, people forget they were once full." We would sit under the mango tree in the evenings, sharing memories of our children. Sometimes we'd laugh, sometimes we'd fall silent, and sometimes the silence said more than words ever could. Back in the city, Arjun came home from work one evening to find my room empty, my bed neatly made, my things gone. At first, he thought I had gone for a walk. Then an hour passed. 2. When he called my phone, it was switched off. He checked the cupboard, my clothes, my medicines, all missing. "Nina," he said, his voice trembling. "Ma's gone." She froze. "What do you mean gone?" "She's not here." She didn't tell anyone. They searched the neighborhood, called friends, even checked the hospitals, but there was no sign of me. That night, Arjun sat alone in my empty room, holding my old framed photo of him as a boy. He remembered how I used to braid his hair before school, how I stayed up all night when he had fevers, how I would whisper, "My son, you're my pride." And for the first time, he realized he had never truly said those words back. Days turned into weeks. He tried to work, but his mind kept wandering back to me. Every morning, he would pause at the empty dining chair where I used to sit, expecting to hear my soft voice say, "Arjun, eat properly." But there was only silence. Naina, too, began to change. She didn't admit it, not at first, but guilt had a way of finding its way into her dreams. She began cooking my old recipes, the same ones she once dismissed. She would sometimes find herself saying, "Ma used to do it this way," and then go quiet. One evening, Arjun found her sitting alone in the kitchen, eyes red. "She's not coming back, is she?" she whispered. Arjun didn't answer. He just sat beside her and held her hand. In that silence, they both realized what they had lost. Not just a mother or a mother-in-law, but the warmth that made their house a home. Meanwhile, at the home, my days passed softly. I wrote letters to Arjun that I never sent. Letters filled with love, not blame. Letters where I told him stories from the old days, his first day at school, how proud his father would be of him. Sometimes, Sister Mary would ask, "Will you ever go back?" I would smile and say, "Only if I'm needed again," but deep down, I missed him terribly. Every night before sleeping, I would whisper a small prayer for him and Naina. I hoped they were eating well. I hoped they were happy. Even if they never wanted me back, I wanted them to live peacefully. Then one afternoon, months later, something unexpected happened. A young volunteer came running into the kitchen. "Sister Mary, there's someone asking for a woman named Shanti." My heart skipped a beat. I stood frozen, spoon in hand. Sister Mary smiled knowingly. "Go, child. See who it is." I walked slowly to the gate, and there he was, Arjun. His face looked thinner, older. His eyes, the same brown eyes I had seen in that photo I kept close, were filled with tears. He didn't speak. He just walked forward and fell to his knees, holding my hands tightly. "Ma," he whispered, his voice breaking, "I'm so sorry." I felt my heart tremble. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. I just placed my hand on his head, like I used to when he was small. "Get up, beta," I said softly. "You don't need to kneel for your mother." He shook his head. "You do. You deserve it. I let you go. I didn't protect you." Behind him, I saw Naina standing quietly. Her eyes were red, her face pale. She looked smaller somehow, not in size, but in spirit. She stepped forward and folded her hands. "Ma, I don't have the right to ask for forgiveness, but I'm sorry, truly. I was proud. I was foolish. You never deserved what I said." I looked at her for a long moment. Then I opened my arms. "Come here, Beta." She broke down and hugged me tightly. I felt her tears on my shoulder, and for the first time in months, the heaviness in my chest began to lift. That evening, they stayed with me at the home. We sat under the mango tree as the sun dipped behind the clouds. Arjun held my hand the entire time, as if afraid to let go again. "Come home, Ma," he said softly. "Please." I looked at Sister Mary, who smiled and nodded gently. "You've given enough to the world, my dear. Now go where your heart belongs." I turned back to Arjun and said, "Only if we make one promise. No more walls between us. No more silence." He nodded, tears glistening in his eyes. "I promise." Soft instrumental swells, slow piano, quiet strings. Scene fades with mother, son, and daughter-in-law walking out of the home together. The ride home was quiet. The evening sky was a soft gold, and the streets shimmered after a light rain. I sat in the back seat beside Naina, while Arjun drove. No one said much. Words seemed too small for what our hearts were carrying. As we reached the house, I felt a strange mix of fear and peace. It looked the same, the white walls, the front garden, the little swing on the porch, yet it felt different, warmer, somehow. Maybe because this time, they had come to bring me back with love, not guilt. Naina opened the door and said softly, "Welcome home, Ma." It was the first time she had ever called it my home. I stepped inside slowly. Everything was clean and neat, but I could sense their effort, the faint smell of incense, fresh flowers on the table, and a small framed photo of all three of us by the sofa. Arjun turned to me and said, "We kept your room the same." I smiled gently. "You didn't have to." He nodded. "We wanted to." That night, I sat in my old chair by the window, looking out at the quiet street. Naina came in with a cup of tea. "Chamomile," she said softly. "You used to drink it before bed." I took the cup and smiled. "You remembered." She hesitated for a moment, then sat on the floor beside me. Her eyes were red from crying. "Ma," she whispered, "I never meant for things to go so far. I was stressed, and I took it out on you. I thought your presence was making things harder for us, but I was wrong. It wasn't you, it was me." I reached out and touched her shoulder. "You're human, Beta. We all make mistakes when life feels heavy." She looked up at me, her voice trembling. "How can you forgive me so easily?" I smiled, because I know what it's like to be young and overwhelmed, and because forgiveness is the only way we can love again. She nodded, tears rolling down her cheeks. Then she did something she had never done before. She rested her head on my lap. For a moment, time stood still. The years of silence, distance, and hurt melted away. All that remained was a quiet understanding between two women who finally saw each other, not as rivals, not as strangers, but as family. Over the next few weeks, the house began to change in small, beautiful ways. Arjun would call out from the kitchen, "Ma, how much salt goes in this?" Naina and I would sit together on the balcony, sharing stories and laughter that had been missing for so long. I taught her the recipe for lentil soup, the same one I had made the day she called me a burden. But this time, as she stirred the pot, she smiled. "Extra lemon, right, Ma?" I laughed softly. "Yes, Beta, just a little extra." Evenings were my favorite now. We'd all have dinner together, talk about work, neighbors, small things that didn't matter much but made the air lighter. Sometimes, I'd watch them laugh together and feel grateful that life had given us another chance. One Sunday afternoon, Arjun suggested, "Let's visit the temple." "Ma, it's been a while." We went together, the three of us, like a small family reborn. After the prayers, Arjun said quietly, "You know, Ma, I used to think you'd always be there no matter what. I took your love for granted. When you left, I realized how much space you filled, not just in this house, but in my heart." I smiled softly. "Sometimes, Beta, people don't see light until they stand in darkness for a while." He nodded, holding my hand. "I'll never let that happen again." That evening, Naina brought out an old album I hadn't seen in years. We sat together flipping through the pages. Arjun's school days, our old house, his first bike, our family picnics. Naina said, "I didn't realize how much history you carry." "Ma, I stepped into your story halfway and never asked what came before." I chuckled softly. "That's how life is. We all join each other's stories, somewhere in the middle. What matters is how we continue from there." She looked at me, eyes full of sincerity. "I want to continue it right this time." A few weeks later, Naina surprised me with something that brought tears to my eyes. When I came into the living room, I saw a small photo frame on the wall, not of her wedding, not of her parents, but of all three of us smiling together. Under the mango tree at Sister Mary's home, below the photo, she had written in neat handwriting, "Our family built on love, tested by silence, restored by forgiveness." I touched the frame gently and whispered, "Thank you." That evening, I called Sister Mary. When she picked up, I said, "Sister, I came home." Her voice was warm. "I knew you would. Does it feel different now?" I smiled. "Yes, it feels lighter." As days turned into months, life settled into a soft, comforting rhythm. I still woke up early, but now Naina would join me in the kitchen. Sometimes she would hum an old song while chopping vegetables. Other times, she would ask me for advice about cooking, about life, about patience. One morning, she looked at me and said, "You know, Ma, when you weren't here, the house was spotless, but it felt empty. Now it's messy again, but it feels like home." We both laughed, and in that laughter, I heard the healing that words alone could never bring. Arjun became more present. He'd come home early, help with dinner, and sit beside me in the evenings as we watched old movies. Sometimes he'd rest his head on my shoulder like he used to as a child. "Ma," he'd say softly, "thank you for giving us another chance." And I'd reply, "Thank you for finding your way back." One day, a letter arrived from Sister Mary. She wrote, "Your story reminded me why forgiveness is the strongest form of love. Keep that flame alive." I folded the letter carefully and kept it in my drawer. Every time I felt doubt or sadness, I'd date it out and read it again. A small reminder that even the deepest wounds can heal if the heart stays open. Months later, on my birthday, Naina and Arjun threw a small dinner at home, just the three of us. When they brought out the cake, Naina said, "Make a wish, Ma." I closed my eyes and whispered, "May we never forget how fragile love is, and how precious second chances are." As they hugged me, I realized something quietly powerful. Love doesn't need grand gestures. It just needs honesty, patience, and a willingness to start again. That night, as I lay in bed, I thought about the journey that had brought me here, from being called a burden to being called Ma again. Pain had broken us once, but forgiveness had rebuilt us stronger. Soft piano and strings swell. Scene fades with warm candlelight, gentle laughter from the dining table, and the camera slowly pulling away from the window, a home full of light once more. It's been a year since I returned home. The days are slower now, softer. The mornings greet me with the smell of jasmine from the garden, and evenings bring the faint laughter of my son and daughter-in-law drifting through the house. Sometimes, I still wake up early and sit by the same window with a cup of tea. The world outside keeps changing. New buildings rise, neighbors move in and out, but inside, I've found something that never changes: the quiet strength of forgiveness. People often think forgiveness is a gift we give to others, but in truth, it's a gift we give to ourselves. It doesn't erase the pain, it simply stops it from owning you. When I left this house that night, I thought I had lost everything: my son, my dignity, my sense of belonging. But now, looking back, I realize I didn't lose myself. I found myself. Sometimes we have to walk away to remember our worth. Sometimes silence says what words cannot. Nina often tells me now, "Ma, I don't know how you had the strength to forgive me." And I tell her, because I saw the girl behind the anger, scared, tired, and trying too hard to be perfect. She smiles, and I see the woman she's become, softer, wiser, more loving. She reminds me of myself when I was young, full of pride but hungry for understanding. That's the strange beauty of life. The very people who break you sometimes become the ones who heal you. A few days ago, Arjun brought me an envelope. "Ma," he said, "Nina and I wrote something for you." Inside was a handwritten note. "We once thought love meant comfort, but you showed us it means effort. You taught us that homestand tea fall apart because of anger. They fall apart when love stops trying. Thank you for never giving up on us." I couldn't hold back my tears. I pressed the letter to my heart and whispered a small prayer, not of pain, but of gratitude. When I go out now, the neighbors still smile and say, "It's good to see you back, Auntie." And I smile too, because they'll never know the story behind that smile, the nights of loneliness, the weight of pride, the courage it took to walk away, and the grace it took to return. But that's okay. Some stories aren't meant to be explained, they're meant to be felt. On quiet evenings, I sometimes visit the old shelter where I stayed, Sister Mary's home. The walls are still pale blue, the air still smells of sandalwood and hope. The new residents greet me with respect, not pity. One of them asked, "Did your family ever call you back?" I smiled and said, "Yes, and not just with words, with love." Sister Mary looked at me with that same knowing smile. "I told you, dear, they needed time. Sometimes love has to leave to be found again." Now, as I watch Nina and Arjun laugh in the kitchen, she teasing him for burning the rotis, he laughing like a boy again, I realize how far we've come. Love didn't come back with grand apologies. It came back quietly, through small gestures, shared laughter, morning teas, and the peace that fills a home when hearts finally learn to listen. If I could speak to the women watching this, the mothers who have felt unwanted, unheard, or forgotten, I would say this: don't let anyone convince you that your love is a burden. You may not always be valued in the moment, but love has a strange way of coming full circle. Keep your dignity, keep your kindness. And when the world tells you that you're too much, remember, sometimes being too much is exactly what holds a family together. I no longer carry bitterness in my heart. The scars are there, yes, but they remind me that even broken things can still hold light. Forgiveness didn't erase what happened. It transformed it. It turned pain into wisdom, silence into strength, and distance into understanding. Tonight, as I turn off the lights and prepare for bed, I whisper my usual prayer. Thank you, God, for giving me the strength to love even when it hurt. For showing me that peace isn't found in being right, it's found in letting go. Outside, the night is calm. The moonlight spills gently across the courtyard, and I can hear Naina humming softly in the kitchen. I close my eyes and smile, because, now, finally, I am home. Soft piano music fades out. The camera lingers on the window, warm light glowing inside, a family's laughter echoing faintly. Then the screen fades to black with the words, "Forgiveness doesn't change the past, but it shapes the future." The end.
जंगल के